Welcome to B Movies and Ebooks. I'm Craig Wade.
And I'm Brian Allen Delaney.
And today we are going to be talking Godbomb by Kit Power and the, 2012 film Chained?
I think it was 2012. Yeah, the credit said 2011, so it probably came out in actually 2012.
Yeah, and this is by the director, Jennifer Lynch, and she did Boxing Helena, so we're in for a good film. Did you ever see that?
No, I did not.
It's literally just about cutting the arms and legs off someone and keeping them as a love prisoner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it wasn't horror. So kind of odd.
Wait, how is that not horror?
I mean, it's creepy as shit, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I turned it on and turned it off within 30 minutes. But what I saw seemed to be a little whimsical.
So you really don't know what it's about.
Well, it was a horrible movie. It was not good. So she's gotten better as a director.
Spoiler alert.
Also, David Lynch's daughter, so she's gonna be creepy as shit. I mean, I can only assume that she is what he assumed he would have in Eraserhead. She's basically the real. That's who I picture whenever I.
Okay, all right. Hold on a second. So you're picturing basically the little goat baby behind the camera directing movies.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
But anyway,
I'm sure she's a nice person.
I'm sure she is.
and not at all goat-like.
I can't stop from thinking of her as some sort of goat creature. Anyway. So yeah, but before we get into the film Chained and Godbomb, let's talk news. What's new with you?
Like me personally?
Yeah, let's just talk personal news.
Just personal news.
Yeah.
Well, I guest hosted on Longbox last week.
Yeah.
Small Talk, one of the other fine BNE Network podcasts.
Yeah, was that a hard sell to be a guest on there?
No, he called me up literally the day of and was like, "What are you doing tonight?"
Yeah, dude, you're lucky. You've been a guest on two of them. I haven't even gotten an invite.
Well,
wait, that's a lie. The last one that you did, I was invited to that, and I was like, "Nah, I'll hang out."
Yeah, you hung out and then left whenever we started recording.
Well, I have nothing to say, as far as comics and stuff goes.
I know. So it allowed me to talk about Batman, Superman for 30 minutes without having to bore you to death.
Dude, I was down. That's the only superhero movie that I wanted to hear about. So thanks, Bill.
Did you see it?
No, I still haven't seen it. I'm still thinking
your
about.
Wife see it?
No, she didn't. She saw 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I didn't see. I went to a Michael Graves concert instead.
Okay.
But
neat.
All right, so let's talk. Did you see Blade Runner 2 coming out?
Yeah, that's been announced for a long time.
Yeah. Robin Wright Penn was added this week. That was the big announcement as far as Blade Runner 2 goes.
Good thing we're keeping up on all that Blade Runner 2 news.
Any thoughts at all?
Is it necessary?
Well, there was a book. No, I mean, there was a Blade Runner 2 book, so.
Was it still okay, Dick?
I doubt it. I think he was dead before it was written.
Okay. I don't know.
Blade Runner 2, but we'll see.
See, the thing is, the thing about that though is Blade Runner was still kind of open for interpretation, right? Especially the director's cut one, where you don't know if Deckard was a replicant or not. Have you actually even seen it?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
No, but I know that you're big into Blade Runner. I like to sometimes cover content that you like as well.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, buddy. But I feel if they do a sequel to it, they're gonna try to explain everything, and it's just gonna make it shitty.
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know. Not everything needs to be, cut and dry.
Well, yeah, I mean everything now. I honestly think if they actually remake the Blob, we're gonna get a freaking backstory on
Like a Blob origin story.
yeah, like the Blob getting picked on in school
because he was fat,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
all the other Blobs.
the Blob. Yeah, like
so that explains why he eats. You know,
he's eating his feelings. He's eating you know what? Screw it. I
want
to see that movie.
Yeah, I think we just wrote the origin story to the Blob.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. I don't know. See, going back to that, that's actually kind of it's basically a criticism, and what I kind of liked about the new Batman Superman was they had a lot of stuff that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless you knew about it already.
I have a really loud buzzing speaker, and I'm hitting it. I don't know why it's not working.
I don't know what else to do. But I don't know. I am kind of sick of every movie trying to explain every single little thing all the time now.
Yeah, so. I kind of got on a short horror, like short film. I'm like quoting as if it's not a thing. Like anyway,
short horror.
I don't know if you've heard of it, but no, like a short film loop on YouTube the other day, and honestly, I think that some of those, even though a lot of them are just like, boom, you got scared. Like, honestly, some of those are more effective than a lot of the actual films we've been watching because there's so much unknown, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that works great in horror movies, especially.
Yeah. So we should literally only cover films from this point on 3 minutes or under.
Oh, God. We should do a micro podcast of like short films, but only make the podcast like 6 minutes long.
Yeah. I watched Shortcast. Watch this. It was good. Bye. No, like
here's some more Blade Runner news.
No, dude, I watched one last night. Did you watch that link that I sent to our group text?
I don't know. Which one?
It was the face swap one.
Oh, no.
It was really good. Like, you know those little face swap apps that everyone...
Yeah. Anyway. I think that's probably the same one that's been showing up on, like, the horror groups and stuff on Facebook.
Probably. Like, No Sleep had something to do with it. But it was awesome. Like, this chick's, like, trying to do a face swap with her cat, but there's, like, a closet behind her. And so she hits it, and then all of a sudden it like, booms over to the closet, and there's, like, a demon face on her.
Nice.
And, like, it was creepy as shit. Like, but it literally did that, and then it was like, bam, you got scared. like just these crazy.
Okay, see, now I'm picturing, like, short films, but then, like, a Crypt Keeper type situation where after the scare, he just jumps up and he's like, you got scared! And then the credits roll.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd watch that.
Well, I'll put it this way. Like, I was surprised at how effective that little short film, because literally it's 40 seconds long. Surprised how effective that was. So I sent it to the group, and I was like, hey, this is, our little private group text. And Clint didn't act happy. He was like, because I said this is a nice little lighthearted thing. But anyway, so trailers for the past week. I saw quite a few that were kind of cool. Do you see anything that stuck out?
Well, not trailers, except for the ones you told me to watch. But if I can just preempt it with a short thing of news,
Sure.
There is going to be Sharknado 4.
Cool.
And it's coming out like in July, I think.
Well, obviously we have to cover it.
We have to. It's our duty.
I kind of wish we never did one of those.
Me too.
Because
we're gonna keep doing them. Yeah, this one's called The Fourth Awakens, in probably like the laziest Star Wars pun ever.
Yeah, that's lame. Like they literally, you know how like Scary Movie 1 and 2 were great, but then after that it was like, oh look, it's Britney Spears, and that's supposed to be a joke.
Yeah,
like that's what this is turning into. And I wonder if Jared Fogel's still going to get his cameo. Wasn't he in multiple ones of the others?
I don't remember. I do know Gary Busey is supposed to be Tara Reid's dad in it.
No, really?
Yeah. So that's going to go well.
Both in front and behind the scenes. He's crazy as shit. I love Gary Busey though. But yeah, like did you watch anything to that Dead Seven?
No, not yet. I want to go in clean. God, that sounds dirty.
Yeah. So it's just members of like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and stuff back in the West.
Yeah, I heard about it. Chris Kirkpatrick's in it.
And we know you're a Kirk head.
And he is my favorite Backstreet or NSYNC member.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
He had dreads and braces.
That is true.
That's my whole reasoning.
Well, but yeah, are we going to cover that next week?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I thought that's the plan.
All right, we won't talk much more about that.
Yeah. So other trailers.
Well, Lights Out.
Yeah.
I think that this actually hit last week, but I didn't watch it till this week.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is based on one of these horror shorts on YouTube.
I was gonna mention that because I've seen one where these two guys are in a hallway, they turn off the lights, and then there's a shadow.
That's not what. No, but that was kind of a knockoff of Lights Out. Like Lights Out went viral. It was kind of the same thing where it just kept getting closer.
They went to go beat it up though.
Yeah. That's the what would really happen in a horror movie.
Yeah.
They just beat the shit out of the thing in the hallway. Yeah. Now, like this one is, it's a really, really effective short, but there's almost nothing that they could make a film out of. Like there's just a turn the lights out, see a ghost type thing.
Well, I don't know if we watched the same trailer, but it's like supposed to be an old friend of her mother or the kid's mom's.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the short was nothing that they could make a film out of. Okay. So they had to totally elaborate the backstory. And I was very skeptical when they announced it because it was just somebody picking up on just something trending. And and it was like James Wan presents, but James Wan does have a really good track record, I think. Even though he won't be directing this one, he's just producing it. But this actually looks like it could be one of the rare exceptions of a PG-13 that I'm really pumped to see.
It looks good. Honestly.
It looks kind of creepy, just creepy as hell, actually. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Like I was excited to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Lights Out.
Lights Out.
Stars.
What else?
You said the girl in the photographs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about that other than the fact
Cal Penn.
Yeah. Yeah. No, is he still an advisor to Barack, or not an advisor, but work on the staff for Barack Obama?
I don't think so. But that is why he left House.
Is it?
Yeah. Anyway, so what I think is funny about that that trailer, right, is there's a pull quote from somebody that was it's a slasher film that would make Wes Craven proud or something like that, and then he's an executive producer.
Is he?
Yeah. I just think that's funny because he probably actually had some sort of hand in it, Yeah. At least on the superficial level. But it's just...
no, I mean, I get it.
Funny, but...
Well, he probably never saw the completion of it,
Yeah.
And, I mean, by that same token, I think that Fede Alvarez, or Fede, or however you say it, Alvarez from the Evil Dead remake would make Sam Raimi proud.
Yeah. So, I think so too. And that was a fantastic remake.
I loved it. That might be my favorite remake of all time. Other than The Thing.
The Thing, yeah.
I mean, not the recent Thing remake.
Well, no, The Thing is just still objectively a good movie.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I don't know. The Girl in Photographs looks neat. It's like a suspense thriller slasher film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Really, I just kind of wanted to cover that only because it's a slasher, and you don't really see slashers anymore. So
yeah,
I'm really pumped about that.
Along that same vein as that Green Room.
The Green Room looks...
It's like awesome. A punk rock slasher. Almost. With Patrick Stewart. The most punk rock guy you can think of.
Yeah. No, I'm really, really pumped about seeing the Green Room. It's
No,
one of
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, nothing. I was gonna say, I saw it last week,
Mhm.
and I forgot to talk about it on here, but like, so freaking cool that they would totally cast Patrick Stewart against hype that much. And I don't know, I really, really like it. Looks cool as shit.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I always like seeing actors like play a completely different role than they're used to, or that you're used to seeing them in. You know, so I think this one could be really good. I mean, Patrick Stewart's a great actor.
Yeah,
So,
and speaking
he
of
has a weird ass accent in this movie, though.
speaking of playing against type and weird ass accents, Vincent D'Onofrio and Shane will be talking about later.
Yes.
Totally different than what you would expect, you know?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But I saw this. I saw a poster, or not a poster. It was like a huge 3D cutout of Green Room at Alamo. Whenever I went and saw Superman, Batman, right?
Really?
And I had no idea what it was, and it was just like Patrick Stewart, and then something they didn't even play up in the preview. Elijah Wood.
He's in what? The Green Room?
Yeah. And it was just like Patrick Stewart and Elijah Wood. And I'm like, what is that?
Last.
He was like, I saw in the preview, he was in like 3 frames.
No,
and
really?
that was it. Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, not that he's still like a huge star.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But it just seems weird that they wouldn't even mention it.
Yeah, I respect Elijah Wood's choices as of late. Like, the Maniac remake was actually surprisingly good.
I think he's been in like a lot of good movies.
Has he?
Yeah.
I mean, North. You remember that? His role. Wasn't he? Was he the Free Willy kid?
Oh, no, wait. It wasn't Elijah Wood. Sorry. My mistake. I looked it up to make sure. It was Anton Yelchin. Yeah. Sorry. My mistake. Retracted. But I still stand by that Elijah Wood makes good movies.
You know who doesn't? Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Terminator Salvation.
Is that a good movie?
No.
I like Charlie Bartlett, okay?
Yeah. New Star Wars remake. New Star Treks, I guess.
Do I?
The new Star Treks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're veering you off.
Yeah.
Big time off of content.
Oh, one last thing, I guess, before we get into reviews. I want to welcome to the network another new podcast. It's called Scariest Shit. It's also a horror-based podcast where they have interviews with people. Usually it's been a lot of musicians lately and stuff, which is neat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's kind of cool because they talk about people that aren't really, horror guests, but then they just talk to them about horror and about their work. And so it's kind of a mixture of like WTF meets horror.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah, it's like, WTF with like a horror basis.
Yeah, where they're going to always circle back to horror.
Yeah, and then they review a movie and stuff. So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome them to the network. You should go check them out.
Yeah, so we are up to us, Long Box Small Talk.
I still hear rumors that
Adventures of
Toxic City is coming back. Chevy said he will have internet soon, and then that'll do it.
2 versus 3 and Scary as Shit.
Yeah.
And there's some rumblings about another one possibly coming on as soon as mid to late April. But we don't have that one finalized, so pretty.
Yeah. So just rumblings.
Yep, rumbling.
There's word on the street.
Yeah. So pretty cool. So if you're not subscribed to the B&E Network Master Feed, go ahead and subscribe to that because it's pretty
you'll get every show on that.
I can't wait till we just have like multiple shows dropping every day of the week.
Like multiple shows. We're doing like 15 shows a week.
Yeah, that would be good.
God, we'd be so busy.
You would.
Oh yeah. Oh man. But okay. Well, I guess we'll be back. You want to do Godbomb first?
Yeah, we will take a break, and we're actually going to come back with Kit Power, author of Godbomb. So we'll be back. And we're back with Kit Power, author of Godbomb, among other things, I would assume.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself? Because this is the first thing other than the entry in Easter eggs and bunny boilers that I've read from you.
Okay. Yeah, about 4 years, I guess now. And it's basically all Stephen King's fault. I read On Writing about 4 years ago, and it was like, oh yeah, why aren't I doing that with my spare time rather than pursuing platinum trophies on the PS3? So I did a distance learning course at work, and that told me I had 8 to 10 hours a week that I could spend doing something productive, and I didn't want to go back to watching crap TV and whatever else it was I was doing before. So, and I read On Writing, so I started writing. So I've written probably, I don't know, somewhere in excess of sort of 50 short stories, half a dozen novellas, and the novel which you guys have read. That's the debut. I'm currently working on the second novel, which I've just got past. I've just jinxed myself, but I've just got past the pulling teeth stage into the, I might actually have a story here phase, which is kind of gratifying. So I'm working on that at the moment. But yeah, that's it. I've had a few publications, short stories, Splatterpunk magazine, the Easter Egg and Bunny Boilers. I was in the At Hell's Gate anthology, which is a charity anthology for the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. And I've just, I'm very much starting out in my career. I've got a full-time job, so I write when I can. But it's certainly the way I'd rather be spending my time.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, that's... Oh, shit. Hold on. I've lost recording on GarageBand. Not a big deal. We're rolling it. But, yeah, that's awesome. So this is your debut novel, and that is really, extremely impressive. Normally we don't... normally do a back and forth while reviewing, but we're going to
because how awkward could it possibly get?
Well, first off, I wanted to say this was shit.
Exactly. What were you thinking exactly? Yeah.
No, it was not at all what I was expecting. I'm not sure what genre this book is in, and I think that that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I was trying to think about that too. Because we've been doing a lot of horror books mostly, right?
A lot of extreme horror.
And, I know you were on Bunny Boilers and stuff, and so I was expecting a horror book, right? And as I was reading it, I'm like, it's not necessarily horror, but it is kind of terrifying, But I don't know if I would call it horror. And then sure. I kept expecting something to happen a different way, right? And it never quite went there, and I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely zigzagged a lot in this. As soon as you thought you knew where it was going, and the ending included, I had no clue where the hell it was going to go with the ending. But it was really, really impressive. I would say that this is more of I don't want to use the term drama because that makes it sound boring, but, but it really is a drama with a few tiny, possibly bordering supernatural elements at moments, but not really overly supernatural at all or anything like that. I don't know. It was odd. But that said, I really enjoyed it. And it was totally a welcome break from what we've actually been covering lately because, I've enjoyed everything we've been covering, but it's good to not always read the same genre,
Sure.
So.
Yeah, we've been shotgunning a lot of extreme horror lately.
Yeah.
And this, although it had some like violent parts, wasn't, necessarily that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It was a nice change. I really enjoyed it. You said, Craig said it read like a drama almost, right? And I don't know if this was really your intention, but it seemed, at least on the subconscious level, because there's like a page where you have the characters and you have like a little bit about them. It almost felt like Players on a Stage sort of type thing. Because what I really liked was the narrative shifted focus from character to character, right? And every section of every different character sounded like its own unique voice, right? Like the narration was different, so, word choices and things like that. And then there was sort of an internal monologue that went along with every character, right? That also read different. And so it was almost like when an actor on stage would turn and sort of give their thoughts to the audience, you know? And I don't know if that was intentional.
Yeah, it was.
No, yeah, it was. I mean, I was aiming for that. I was aiming for that kind of vibe for sure.
It's all
sorry,
cutting out right now.
Can you repeat that?
I was aiming for that's the vibe I was aiming for sure. The reason for the cast list at the front was really simple. There were too many characters, and like far too many point of view characters, and I wanted to make sure that people had at least a prayer of being able to follow who was who. So I figured just a really short cast list at the front would help with that. But you're right, it does have the unintended consequence of making it feel almost like a stage play. Of course, I don't think this is a spoiler, but the story takes place within a single room. So
yeah,
in that sense, it almost, in terms of the mechanics of it, it kind of is a stage play almost. I mean, it's a contained environment. So,
well, I mean, honestly, that was one thing that I had written down as well. Like most, especially like debut novels and stuff like that, are either written first person or third person limited, but this like third person omniscient is kind of odd as a choice for a first time writer, because it definitely seems, not first time writer, but first time
novelist,
because it's so much more to take on. But also I did enjoy the fact that the silent narrator almost had a voice of his own. Like the way that Stephen King kind of pops out and addresses the reader every once in a while. It seemed to do that at moments as well. And so I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that. But I don't know. Was it quite an undertaking to get that many characters defined in your mind without, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, the characters, no, that was fairly straightforward, because I had the idea for the story when I was 19. So I've been carrying this around in my head a long time, and I always knew enough about the characters to be confident that when I got to writing the story that I'd be able to find them and find their voices. So that aspect of it wasn't the problem. The problem was just was much more the mechanical side, because I don't plot. I write as I go, and I kind of feel my way through. And I had the ending, I had the closing image in mind, but I wasn't sure if I was going to get there and how it was going to look when I got there. So actually, the challenge was more about figuring out what was going to happen, and B, the order in which it was going to happen. And then related to that, the thing that took me the most time was then figuring out who was the best point of view to have for any given chapter. I made a couple of mistakes in the first draft where I wrote entire chapters from just the wrong perspective. And when I got back to it, it was a question of saying, okay, where is the drama in this scene? Who is who is best placed to deliver the most kind of emotional bang for the buck in that given sequence of events? So at least two of the chapters got completely rewritten from a different character's point of view to improve the drama and the setup of the situation. And also from feedback from beta readers. There was a couple of characters that people felt in the first run through were underdeveloped. So I kept the events the same, but I gave them extra chapters. I gave them extra things to do and things to see from their perspective to hopefully help flesh them out and make everyone feel real.
That's awesome. Yeah.
but it took me 2.5 years to write. Okay, so in answer to your question, yes, it was really, really hard, and I'm probably not going to do it again with that many point of view characters.
Well, that's more what I was. That's
Yeah.
more what I was looking for. Like, if you were able to just turn this out real quick, then it's just like I have literally no clue how you could have done that.
No. What you're reading there is the 11th draft, just to put it in perspective.
Okay, that now we're starting to.
I mean, to be fair, a couple of the chapters are almost unchanged from D1. I mean, some of them worked and they just worked and they're fine. You know, there was I think Mike's big monologue chapters. Those went aside from a couple of technical changes, they went completely unedited. They just came out and they were perfect. Mm-hmm. And Alex's last chapter that came out and just worked. But there's a heck of a lot of other stuff that, there were a lot of changes. And it was like, I actually wrote a guest blog for Crystal Lake Publisher when it came out called How Not to Write Your Debut Novel. And I talked a lot about the challenges that I set myself and just the number of unrealistic challenges, some of which I abandoned. I mean, my initial conception, believe it or not, was to have it as 10 chapters, 1 chapter per character. That was and just running the clock all the way through, completely chronological. So no flashbacks, no replays, 1 character per chapter, tell the whole story. I think Jim Thompson did that once, and turns out I'm not Jim Thompson, and it didn't work. So there's lots of things like that I abandoned on the second draft and subsequent drafts. So it was like, okay, but you need the story to be good. So like if that restriction doesn't serve the story, then you got to chuck it out and make the story work instead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just gonna say, like I talked a little bit about how every character has their own voice and everything, but what I think I really liked was you captured a lot of like the nervous energy that some of them would have, because like certain things that would happen that would be really terrible. Right. But then they would just they would just snap to like a joke about it in their head, which is what a lot of people, like myself included, do when faced with like a really bad situation, is you try to joke your way out of it. And I really felt that added to the realism of the characters and made everyone like there wasn't a character in here, at least the named characters, that didn't feel fleshed out, which was
that's good.
To me, quite an undertaking when you're juggling like 9 main characters. No,
that's good. I'm glad of that. I'm glad that worked for you, because that's certainly that I was aiming for that, and I put some work into getting there. So I'm glad that came out. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. and one of the other things I liked was there were several times where things sort of moved in slow motion. Right. Mm-hmm. And there was one particular part, and I'm not going to spoil what it was, but like something's happening while one of the characters is like talking mid-sentence, and every word's interrupted with like a paragraph of action that's happening. I think that might have been one of my favorite parts, just like stylistically, because like, on one hand, that could be hard to read. Right. But I think you pulled it off really well, and it made a lot of sense. But
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, that's I mean, anyone who's been in like a high adrenaline situation, it doesn't always happen, but it can happen. Sometimes that time slows down thing. It's a cliche, but I've been there a couple of times, when you're facing some extreme life situation or even just a surprise. It can happen. I think you can hit that hyper-aware thing. It's just a side effect of adrenaline. That's all it is. Yeah. It's adrenaline and brain chemistry. But I'm glad I captured that. I'm glad that worked for you again, because that sequence was a fun sequence to write. Actually, I remember really enjoying it. And the chapter after it too, immediately following it, where you go on a kind of head tour, don't you? As the events rolling out. I remember having a lot of fun writing that. I really enjoyed that, and just kind of letting rip. And then worrying afterwards whether or not any of it worked, just kind of going for it. Yeah, that was fun.
No, that next chapter especially, it's very short, right? But it made me it made me really appreciate the title choices as well, because it's all books from the Bible. I don't think we've ever actually even said what this book's about. I think we've just been like 15 minutes talking about it, and we haven't even mentioned what it's even about.
Let's just not
do that.
No.
Go read it if you want to know what it's about. Go buy it.
So the summary is: someone wants answers. North Devon, England, 1995. A born-again revival meeting, I suck at reading, evidently. A born-again revival meeting in a public building. The usual mix of the faithful, the curious, and the desperate. And one other, an atheist suicide bomber. He's angry, he wants answers, and if God doesn't come in and talk to him personally, he's going to kill everyone in the building.
Yeah,
I'd like to point out that when we wrote that, I had a final line that the publisher made me cut from the blurb. I wanted to end it by saying, hilarity ensues.
I
didn't go for it.
Like most of the time, whenever I say synopsis on the shows, that's my closing line of all the synopsis as well.
Right, okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But I would like to mention though that the atheist character, because like this book is written from a perspective, like there's some author notes at the beginning that kind of give away, I think, how you might feel about the whole situation. But in the course of the book, you don't really know, right? Like which way it's supposed to go, right? Because there's sort of lots of, there's lots of parts that point one way, and then there's lots of parts that point the other way completely, right? But I would like to point out that I'm glad that you didn't go like the God's Not Dead route and have just a super pissed off atheist like caricature, and that he actually genuinely wanted answers, and there was a lot of points where you felt like pathos toward what he was going through. So thanks for that. Because I think you did a good job of presenting the evidence both ways. There was nobody was a caricature of their beliefs, which I appreciate.
That was really, really, really important to me. And if I didn't achieve anything else, I wanted to make sure I achieved that, because I felt that it's so easy to slip into polemic, right? It's so easy to slip into finger wagging, especially if you have strong opinions on something. But I think like it was really important to me to accurately represent all the positions, the people with faith, the people without, the seekers, all of them. I wanted to make sure that that they all felt genuine, and they all felt sympathetic too. It's easy to caricature is easy. I mean, maybe the preacher's slightly borderline. I don't know, but certainly all the others. I mean, Mike's a good example where I feel like I played a straight bat with Mike. I feel like he is a fair, honest representation of that point of view and of that type of character, of that type of person. So again, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear you felt that came across, and that does extend to the bomber. I mean, I didn't give him a point of view chapter, and that was very deliberate, because my perspective on that, and this is I really like Silence of the Lambs, but I think it's got a lot to answer for in the culture. And one of the things I think it's got a lot to answer for is this myth of the psychopath as this kind of Nietzschean Superman. This super clever, super bright, super powerful. Because like psychopaths in real life generally are not that. They're actually kind of dull, uninteresting, unpleasant people for them. And then they'll have a sort of facile surface charm, and they'll have above room temperature IQ, but they're not, you know what I mean? Like they're not that Superman character. And it felt to me that one of the things I wanted to do with this story was I wanted it to be about the victims, I guess, for want of a better word. I wanted it to be about the people caught up in that kind of a situation rather than about the perpetrators. I think, we focus, I mean, it's the cliches. We always know the names of the school shooters. We never know the names of the victims, right? Yeah. And I felt that for this novel anyway, I reserve the right to talk about psychopaths from their perspective in a later book. I'm not, if I decide that that's what I want to do. But for this book, I wanted it to be about the crowd. I wanted it to be about the people. stuck in there, and I wanted to make them, I wanted to represent them fairly and honestly as I could.
Yeah, and I mean, it totally, had you added a chapter or really, like I said, it was third person omniscient, but it stayed outside of the bomber's head. He was like the only character that wasn't really represented by the narrator, but I think it would have totally changed the entire weight of the whole narrative. And I think that it's good that the reader was in on it with the victims versus overly understanding the motives or anything. Like, it kills the suspense, it kills all of it. So that was really
And I think that's right. I think hopefully if that works, the reason it works is because, like you said, it puts the reader in the room. Because again, in a real life situation, you don't know what's going on in that guy's head. And in a way, that's kind of the scariest thing of it all, right? Like, you don't have any way to relate to him in the moment. You don't have any way of understanding what's happening. You're just stuck in a room with this lunatic. And that would. Although I have since written a prequel where you do get to find out a little bit about who the guy was and what motivated him. And that'll be out in a collection I've got coming out in July. But
oh, well, that's cool.
But the novel stands alone. It stands either as a prequel or a sequel to the novel. It works either way because it's effectively it's his suicide though. Effectively, it's like a found document. So as I said, that'll be out in July.
Cool. And you said it's in a collection?
Yeah. So basically the first 3 novellas that I wrote there was another, it was called A Lifeline, there's A Loving Husband and The Faithful Wife, and The Debt. And I self-published Lifeline, and the other 2 got picked up by another company, and I've just recently reacquired the rights to them. So what I've decided to do is, since Godbombs been successful, and it's certainly had, I mean, I think 3 times as many people have picked up Godbomb as picked up any of the novellas. So it seemed to me to be a good time to put them together in one volume and bring them out, hopefully, and bring them out cheaper. So it'll be those 3, the first 3 novellas I wrote, and then the final piece will be it's called Genesis, obviously, which will be the Godbomb prequel. So that's in there as well, and that'll be that'll be out on the $1.99 price point as an ebook and a print edition as well. And that's coming out with the Sinister Horror Company, who published Godbomb as well. So that'll be out in July. Yeah, we're doing. I think we're planning to do the formal book launch at Edgelit in Derby. So that'll be really good at the convention. But yeah,
awesome. Well, so what do you have coming out next?
Besides that.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I screwed up the plug section by getting it early. Sorry. I mean, Easter Eggs and Body Boilers is out now, and that's, I'm so happy to be a part of that, because that list is like a who's who of people writing in the indie horror scene at the moment. So being in that's fantastic. So yeah, that's the other one I got coming out in July, and then hopefully before the end of the year, I do have a collection coming out which is called it's called A Warning About Your Future, that you will dismiss as a collection of short fiction and miscellaneous articles by obscure 21st century writer Kit Power.
Wow, that's awesome. That's one of the best titles ever.
So end of the year for that one. D2's out with an editor at the moment, but there's some work to do. So hopefully by the end of the year, that'll be self-published is the plan at the moment. Because I cannot imagine anyone's going to pay any money at all to put out a book with that title. So I'm doing it myself, which is fine.
Cool. Where can people find you other than just on Amazon, as far as if they want to find you? I know that you write for Ginger Nuts of Horror quite a bit.
Yeah, that's right. And that's probably the best place. I've got a monthly blog there called My Life in Horror. So that's a gig where I basically write every month about something that damaged me as a child and led to me becoming a horror writer. So often it'll be a novel or a film. Sometimes it'll be something slightly weirder. I think the strangest article so far was I did 4,000 words on Queen Greatest Hits 2, which which incorporated Queen Greatest Hits 2, the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, obviously Freddie Mercury dying, all of that kind of stuff. So it's this huge kind of rambling time travel article. So there's a game I'm kind of playing with it at the moment, which is like, what can I rebrand as horror this month and get away with writing about? But sometimes it's very traditional. I mean, the first one was Stephen King's It, which I read when I was 11, and obviously, scarred for life. And that's Ginger Nuts, a horror / My Life in Horror. I also do reviews for them. There's a lot of my content's up on that site. That's kind of what I do instead of blogging. Or obviously, I've got a Facebook author page. Kit author.
I'm kind of jealous. I saw that you got to read Joe Hill's new novel. It's not out.
Oh man,
not out yet over here.
That was. I mean, I'm incredibly fortunate to be a part of that site. Jim's a great guy, and he, early on when he realised he just didn't have enough hours in the day to get the content he wanted, he approached me, and at that point, this is that was 2 years ago. I was nobody at all. I just had my first novella out, and it was a huge vote of confidence. A huge leap of faith for him to take, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of that site. And that column is often the most fun I have at keyboard in any given month, because I'm just letting rip. It's just me and whatever, and I normally do them in one sitting, even the long ones, and I tend to have a drink or two on the go, and I just really go for it. It's like gonzo writing, I just go for it. So that's really entertaining and really enjoyable.
Yeah, that, and I read your recent thing, My Life in Horror Sleepers.
Yeah, that one just came out. Yeah, that's probably the darkest it's gone.
Yeah, so I got to say, I read that before we started Godbomb, and I was like, is this, how dark is this guy gonna get? like, are we in for a real depressing read with Godbomb?
Well, that's you were talking earlier about genre. That's the way in which I do consider myself to be a horror writer. So I mean, you're right, obviously, about Godbomb in terms of genre. Thriller, dark thriller, non-supernatural horror, maybe. I mean, it's on a boundary, I guess. It's on a few boundaries there, and that's fine. I mean, the reason I self-identify as a horror writer is what I write about is what scares me.
I mean, I think, if we misled anyone by saying it's drama or anything.
No, I don't think it was misleading at all. I just say that I agree with everything you said about the genre pick for that novel and whether or not it's horror. I think it's perfectly valid to describe it as drama or thriller or whatever.
Well, I was just going to say that I would also describe the film Seven as drama.
Yeah, right.
and Prisoner.
Right.
And
I mean, I've got to admit, I'm kind of on a quest to reclaim the phrase horror as a wider label, right? So for me, Seven is absolutely a horror movie. Silence of the Lambs is absolutely a horror movie. That's just a personal taste thing. I think horror sometimes. Oh, soapbox alert! I think horror sometimes is a little ashamed of quality, and I think we back away from it when we shouldn't. No, seriously, I think we do. I think, you look at Ian Banks and like his non-sci-fi output, and I would label a lot of that as horror, and a lot of horror readers would kind of balk at that. But it's absolutely terrifying. Just because it doesn't happen to have like a supernatural element doesn't mean it's not in every other sense a horror novel, and a fantastic one at that. So, I'm kind of, I get quite militant about the term horror. I'm kind of like, because I think there's a misconception about horror in the wider culture, and people shy away from it for that reason. And I'm kind of I'm on a bit of a mission to get people to recognize that they like horror, even though they claim they don't, and kind of reclaim it in a wider sense. So the genre things, it's an interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know. Would we actually do a rating to the book?
Like in front of him?
Yeah, right in front of me. I would give it a 4.
Hang on. That's okay. I can hang up and you guys could do it.
Nah, we'll do it.
No. I mean, I would like to do it. Just I've never done it before. But no, okay, I honestly think that it's a very, very strong 4, bordering 4.5 out of 5. Keep in mind, we've never given anything a 5 before, so this is very, very high marks.
I was going to say the same thing, honestly.
Okay, cool.
A solid 4. if you want to push it, maybe 4.5. But
wow. No, that's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So awkward.
Well, I'm getting to practice my when I lose best screenplay, right? I'm getting to practice the face. I've even got.
Yeah. But anyway, no, dude, we had a good time. Definitely keep us in the loop as far as your any future output. We definitely will plug it on the show, and
thank you.
Don't be a stranger. And
no, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really, really good fun. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well.
All right. Cool.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Cheers.
And we will be back with our review of Chained. What?
That you didn't know what it was for a second.
Well, no. I was gonna. All right, let me pause. I was gonna say Jennifer Lynch's Chained, but all right, we'll be back. All right, welcome back. We are going to talk about the 2010 film, 2012 film. The
Chained
film Chained, yeah.
From Jennifer Lynch.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do the synopsis this time.
Right? Okay. Good.
Okay. This is from IMDb because I didn't write my own this time. Mm-hmm. Bob, a cab driving serial killer who stalks his prey on the city streets alongside his reluctant protege Tim, who must make a life or death choice between following in Bob's footsteps or breaking free from his captor. That seemed like a run-on sentence. Like, that sentence didn't make any sense, right?
Yeah,
it seemed like there was a verb missing. But anyway, and then hilarity ensues.
Yeah.
But no. I don't know. Okay, so this was starring Vincent D'Onofrio, right? Mm-hmm. And who played Eamon Farron, right? Who I believe I don't know anything else he's been in.
Who is Eamon Farron? The kid?
The Rabbit. Yeah.
Old Rabbit or Young Rabbit?
Old Rabbit.
Okay.
It stars them, and then that's about it.
I feel like this microphone is just creeping up on me. Like it was blocking out my face. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much as far in terms of plot. There's not a whole lot to this. It's kind of more of a little slice of life from
like a character study.
Yeah,
a slice of life
of a total psycho. And this
I find it weird that we never do this on purpose, except for whenever we had like Western themed month, right? or not month. It was like one show, but we never seem to do this. But these were both hostage situation movies, or like when the book was a hostage situation. This is basically a hostage situation. Weird. I didn't even like. Anyway, we never do that on purpose, but there always seems to be some sort of link between the things we review.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure nobody knows we do it on purpose.
Yeah, like last week was Bucket List. What was the film we watched last week?
Final Girl.
Final Girl. Yeah, and see, both of those
were revenge. Yeah.
I was just going to say they were, narratives.
Yeah. They both had characters and a story.
Yeah. But no, I agree. Like, there's some sort of underlying something. Maybe it's just subconscious for us.
Yeah, maybe. Or just luck.
Yeah. But anyway, well, I mean, we didn't even really pick this one.
No, this was Matt Shaw told us to do it.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I wish I had written that. It's really good. And isn't that what he said?
Yeah. I feel like if he would have written it, it would have been much gorier.
Yeah. But yeah, this film, I went into it not knowing anything about it other than Boxing Helena, and I had seen Surveillance. Like I haven't seen all of Boxing Helena, but Surveillance was actually kind of a good film, except for the fact that I guessed the ending from the preview, and that kind of sucks. And this film, I guessed the ending from the first 10 minutes.
Like even the twist?
Yeah, the twist is the only part, I guess. but yeah, I mean, it was just like, but yeah, it just like was I'm sorry, I was reading Kit's comment. Matt Shaw recommended What Can Possibly Go Wrong.
Yeah.
He went on Twitter yesterday saying that or 2 days ago saying, Twitter? What the hell am I even talking about? He went on.
Who you're talking about.
Matt Shaw went on Facebook the other day saying that he didn't like Basket Case.
What?
Yeah, Basket Case.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree that it's
a
not,
terrible movie.
Yeah, it's a terrible movie, but there's something fun about it. The awesome claymation effects. But no, back to this. Yeah, I guess the ending very quickly. But this film actually didn't really rely on the ending. Like, it's not like a Shyamalan film where
I think it could have ended 10 minutes earlier and still been just as effective, if not more effective, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was odd. Very, very odd. Not in any bad way at all. I really actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
And it's one of the rare exceptions that my wife was like all in on. She really liked it. I mean, I asked her if she liked it afterward, and she was like, but I think it's only because it's kind of one of those films that liking.
Yeah, it makes you feel a little dirty.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I'm a huge Vincent D'Onofrio fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a movie of his that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I watched Criminal Intent for a long time.
I've seen a lot of Vincent D'Onofrio things I don't like.
You were saying earlier that this was against type for Vincent D'Onofrio?
No, I mean, he gets creepy as hell sometimes, but this was even...
Cell?
Huh?
Remember The Cell?
Yeah. But I mean,
don't know.
I think honestly, Law and Order has made him typecast as like the good cop for me.
I don't know. Like, to me, this was sort of a mix of, I don't know. It was like a darker, what was his name? Edgar from Men in Black. Almost.
I was going to say that as a joke.
No, I mean, like his mannerisms and stuff. He was very kind of unhinged a little bit, but it was like under the surface, you know, like it was just waiting to come out. He kind of brings the same sort of thing to Kingpin in the Daredevil. Like if you've seen, I don't think you've watched that, have you?
I've seen 5 episodes of season 1, so yeah. I mean, I'm seeing him in it, but he's not really doing.
Well, he hasn't gone crazy yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes like where it's almost this calm that he has, but at any moment something bad could happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I liked it.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
I just think some of the choices of films that he's been in have not been the best.
What?
I'm looking at, he was in Stewart Saves His Family.
Yeah.
Which
quality SNL programming.
Which I was going to say I actually enjoyed. But I think that was one of the few films that I know of that didn't even last a week in theaters.
Oh, yeah. That was like a weekend.
Yeah, they pulled it like soon. But no, I mean, he was a really, really effective bad guy in this. And part of it actually felt almost like, you know how they do those biographies of like serial killers? Like there's that one with Jeremy Renner as Jeffrey Dahmer. Like this almost felt like what?
I'm just thinking of Jeremy Renner doing that, but also carrying around a bow and arrow.
That's what, just shooting everyone. As Dahmer did.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, he's like, it almost felt like that. Like it was just kind of a
like a film crew following him around almost.
Well, or just a retelling of a true life type thing, because there was nothing in this that wasn't, you know, definitely nothing that was even questionably supernatural.
No.
Like it's just based only in real life. But in reality, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I don't know that there's a lot to say about it. It's a kid chained to a guy's wall.
House.
Yeah. And
he brings home women to kill.
Yeah.
And he cleans up after them.
Yeah, the kid has to clean it up. It kind of reminded me of, did you ever see Malevolent or Bereavement?
No. I thought you were going to say Maleficent for a second.
Dude, that reminds me.
Oh, God.
Nothing. Well, no, it reminds me. I'm trying to think of films and stuff that, Gwen can watch that are entertaining. I like Maleficent.
Okay.
Did you?
I didn't see it.
Oh, really? It got dark real quick.
Did it?
Yeah, but I mean, not like B&E dark. Like, no one was chained to
like a Disney movie dark.
Darker. People die.
Well, yeah, people die in Disney movies all the time.
Now people. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Tarzan guy gets hung like right in front of everybody.
Really?
Kit just said Bambi's mom. People die all the time.
That is true.
Well, no, you see it in the shadow. The guy like falls and he gets hung, and it's like a shadow of a guy hanging, but just straight up.
Yeah, it just shows like a shadow of his eyes popping out, like blood dripping. Like, they could have tightened that up a little. But anyway, yeah,
Chained.
So, Chained. What do you think?
No, I think it was a great like atmosphere. There was this like sort of uneasy, anything can go south at any moment. Like, you never quite know what's going to happen, right? Kind of feeling to it. Again, it's basically a bottle episode, and like Kit was saying about,
I'm just thinking of B&E Bingo.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go, Peach. Anyway, but like Kit was saying, his is basically just one room, and the whole thing is happening there. This was, a little, almost was like one bedroom house. And everything happened there, mostly in the kitchen or one bedroom. And it's like, but it just had this atmosphere that anything could go wrong at any moment. And I think the acting especially had a great deal to go in that, how it was shot, like, and even down to the color grading and stuff made it feel uneasy.
Yeah.
Because everything was kind of like skip bleached, kind of darker than it should be, while it was in the house. But then outside was, almost vibrant compared to it. Right. And then the soundtrack too. I mean, there wasn't much music, right? Like, especially wasn't much music to it. A lot of it was just sort of
tones.
Yeah. Ominous tones, like where sometimes you don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah.
And I watched it with headphones on, and so it was probably a little bit more in your face, but I bet a lot of it you just wouldn't even notice, but it just adds to it. And so I think it was really effective in what it kind of wanted to portray. I will say this, I was not expecting the kid to grow up.
I wasn't either, because it starts with like this kid watching someone basically get murdered, and then it's like 8 weeks prior. So I thought it was going to be 8 weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the kid turns.
It's a camera pan, like in the middle of it, like the camera pans down and it pans back up, and he's like 19. Yeah. He mentions later that he's college age. So he's got to be 18, 19. So he had the kid for 9-10 years. It's nuts.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, it was one of those films. Stuff. Do what?
I said there was some unsettling stuff in here.
That's what I was going to say. Even though I don't know that I would call this horror either. You?
I think so. Definitely. Like, because, like, again, like Kit was saying, it's not just about, jump scares and gore and stuff. It's he just commented it's all horror, but but it's not just gore and jump scares, whatever. It's like what makes you scared, and like, I'm not saying this movie scared me, but being in that situation would be terrifying.
Well, yeah.
You know, especially as a little kid, you know, and then it's like growing up, and then that's basically over half your life.
Yeah.
That's the only life you know.
I think that this fits in a pantheon of films like Salo or Martyrs, or even though I haven't seen it, a Serbian film. I understand that it's really jacked up. It fits somewhere along those lines because it's one of those that, although you're not going to like lose sleep, or you're not going to even think about, I don't know about you, but I will never like get creeped out at all by a film like this.
No, probably not.
But it's one of those that it's like a blunt, like a very like a gut punch, you know, watching it all play out. And you feel nothing but just bad for this kid that has to participate in all of this. But you know, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I think that it's not quite as dark as Salo or Martyrs or any of those, but it definitely fits in with those. The type of person that likes those will like this film. And
it's definitely messed up.
Yeah. So would you recommend it or no?
If you like things that make you uneasy, if you're into that sort of thing, I mean, like, I don't know. I find it hard not to recommend a Vincent D'Onofrio movie.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, okay.
That Escape Plan was really good.
I mean,
did you watch that? So bad.
I recommend The Cell all the time. Right?
I know you go on and on about The Cell.
And that movie is not necessarily scary, but it's just filled with horrific imagery. You know, and this isn't like so on the nose, you know, horrific, but it still kind of gives you that same queasiness.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you like movies that make you feel bad.
You're a big fan of hating yourself.
Yeah. If you like movies that make you feel bad, then you would like this movie.
I mean, that's the only reason I even ask, would you recommend it? Because I don't know that I can recommend, like, do a blanket recommendation for this, you know, but it was good. I liked it. I thought it was much better than the average film.
Yeah.
But
what would you give it?
That's a hard one.
I'm teetering between 3.5 or 4.
That's exactly where I'm at. Like, it's definitely, I'm going to say a 3.5.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be a week or like a week 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's a strong 3.5.
Strong 3.5. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. So if it ever hits Netflix, watch the shit out of that. But if you have to rent it like me, I don't know that I would recommend people rent it. But I liked it. I don't know. I just felt that there was so much left just in the ambient. Like, most of the story was in the spaces.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like,
oh yeah. I mean, like, it was an 1.5-hour film. There was probably 20 pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked it. So.
Oh man. The really messed up thing was that, like, memory game they played. What the F, man? So it was, I thought they were going to play poker for a second or something, but they played basically memory with the licenses of the dead women. So they would be like Jane Smith, and then have to tell, like,
green eyes, 120 pounds, although she was lying.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was like, oh,
messed up.
What in the hell? Yeah. Yeah. You know, I always wonder about, like, when the film ends and the people are like, you know, the people the survivors, like, how they integrate back into society. I think that would make a good film. Like, you begin a film with, like, where
the last 5 minutes of a slasher.
Yeah. And just show, like, the psychological ramifications of that.
Well, that's kind of what, like, at least the first half of Born to Bleed was like.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, well. Kit says, I keep meaning to write that novel. I always wanted that, and I'm putting it down on record right now. I've always wanted a film called The Game Show Loser. Showing how someone like loses like $1 million life-changing thing, and everyone in his family just is like, screw that guy. Like, just hates him for the rest of his life.
Like one of those things where you would win $1 million or go out with nothing.
Yeah.
And then, it's like some stupid question that he should have known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously a
look at what you could have won. Yeah. Dude, I think Kit really should write that.
The Survivor one?
Or not the Game Show Loser.
The Game Show comedy.
I think Kit should write a traditional sitcom. But anyway,
so I think we're done.
Yeah, we've hit a wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out the B&E Network master feed. Seriously, buy a copy of Godbomb by Kit Power. Check it out. Especially if you have Kindle Unlimited. There's nothing to lose, and it's on KU. So it's one of the longer reads. So on there. So anyway,
check us out on Twitter and Facebook at Beanie Pod.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know. Send us email if you want. Podcast at bmoviesandebooks.com.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to, but whatever. Or just go to bmoviesandebooks.com.
Yep.
You know, like I said, we might be adding some more shows pretty soon as well. Maybe.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes.
Subscribe to our blab to get notifications of when we go live. It's blab.im/BNE pod.
Yep.
Subscribe to that. You'll get notified when we go on. You can choose to participate in the chat, or you can watch the replays, which are slightly edited and a little tighter on YouTube or on Blab for the raw, unfiltered, unedited feed. And you can listen. It's starting to just spiral out of control.
Yeah, I know. Our exit, is spiraling out of control.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, we'll see you next week. We will be talking Dead 7. So I'm really excited about that. And
we chose a book too, right?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of that. I think it's A Monstrous Place by
I believe so, yeah.
Matthew Stott. And I believe that it's actually a borderline young adult horror book.
Perfect.
So, anyway,
Monstrous Place, yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Really, I really wanted to check it out because of 66 last year. And the fact that we are wanting to, check out something new, something fresh. So anyway, we will be back next week, and we're out.